Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Canadian Film Fest. My name is Mark Kishode. I'm one of the programmers here, and I'm joined by the team from Rent Due. I want to introduce director Gavin Michael Booth. And Gavin, you have some guests with you here today. Why don't you introduce us to them?
They're more than guests. They're the creators, writers, producers of Rent Due. This is Jonathan Dubsky, and we have Daniel Kay here with us.
Hi.
Hello.
So, you mentioned that this was a big group effort. It's not just you, Gavin. But I think that one of the things that is so fun about Rent Due is the whole cast and the dynamic between them. So I would love to hear from all of you about, how it all came together and, how you found your Winnie as well.
That's on you two as the creators. So you take this.
So we started the original idea for Rent Due. We developed years ago as a web series, and then we came back when we had a bit of money to shoot it as a short, and try and do justice. And John, you'd worked with Gavin before, right?
Yeah, I met Gavin through, well, his wife and my friend Sarah, and who ended up playing Winifred.
Yep.
And I'd worked on Gavin. I'd helped Gavin on a music video, and he'd also cast me as a little part in Scarehouse, which was a lot of fun.
And I will say this: we did a fairly exhaustive casting process for a short. I think we saw like 60 tapes or something.
Yeah, about that.
And we ended up choosing Gavin's wife because
Wow.
she was perfect for it. So yeah,
That's amazing. One of the things that I just had to ask about that's so special in the film is that robbery scene where you're slowly pushing into the convenience store door. I would love to hear from all of you if that was a collaborative thing, but Gavin, even from you, about that directorial choice. Why did you choose to shoot it that way?
Anybody who knows me knows I'm obsessed with like the long takes. And Sarah and I had a chance to make a single take feature a couple of years ago. Byrne was mentioning it off camera pre-interview called Last Call. And I just think there's a fun, exciting energy when things don't ever break away and the actors get to showcase their acting. But in that particular moment, you have Dan and Jonathan as the two other roommates that are outside. Just, there's this miscommunication of, I want you to go in there and just get it done. And they're telling her to go apply for a job, which she misreads as, maybe take things into their own hand to get their hands on some cash. Mm-hmm. And I just thought it was so funny that they're wrapped up in this just completely mundane conversation that sometimes they always are, while the audience is getting to kind of like literally move right between them and see what Winifred is up to. I just thought it was a very comedic beat, have some stunts, have some fun comedy, and not break that shot until reality sets in of what just happened.
Amazing. Dan, I was thinking during that, you mentioned that this started off initially as a web series. Can you talk a little bit about how you got the ideas that you had for it to fit into a short, and what that process was like? Or was there stuff that you really would have loved to do, but you couldn't because of how much shorter it has to be?
So it started off as a web series years ago. I think John originally had the idea of doing something around roommates, just trying to look for odd jobs and pay rent. And the idea was that, it's our generation's greatest foe, being able to pay rent and try to pretend that we're adults. The opportunity came again through John to shoot the short when we got a little bit of money, and we thought, what's the best way to explore this idea that was originally for that we were meant to have over many episodes as a short, and let's do it as something big and silly and kind of John, you want to?
Yeah, it was tricky because we were kind of trying to straddle the line between doing a short and basically a pilot for a show that we had developed.
Mm-hmm.
which is always kind of really hard when you're doing a short film. Short films generally are a little bit more of a self-contained story. They don't always have a before and after. And we wanted to be able to use this not just as a short, but as a tool to pitch a greater series. So that was definitely something I think we struggled with really, really, really bad. Was the pacing is different in a short film versus a pilot. But we wanted it to check both boxes. So I think that was the greatest struggle for both Dan and myself. Was there any other part to that?
No, I'm curious to also hear from Gavin. I mean, what was your first impression of the script and
the script was very funny, and I think if I remember correctly, we had a couple sessions just discussing it. A few, just you guys allowed me a few ideas of how to like put my spin on it as a director. But what I loved about it is, there are a lot of people that make a proof of concept short, but sometimes it feels lacking as a short film. It doesn't have like a real cap or an end, and I love, I'll tease. Everybody's seen the film now at this point, but that sort of mid-credit sequence of Winifred now getting wrapped up to work with the mob, I think is kind of hilarious, and it gives that tease of like where a next episode or at least one plot thread of where a season would go. And I just love the idea that every episode could be this contained, like it's the last day of the month, and these three idiots are going to figure out a way to get rent, and that could go in so many different directions of what jobs they take or what chaos they bring upon themselves, and how much chaos they're willing to get into versus just like get a job or borrow some money from their parents again or whatever it is. So I love the idea. I hope the series comes to fruition. Even just the spelling it rent do I thought was brilliant in the sense that like they have to do it, they have to get the rent, but also speaks to a little bit that they're not always the brightest people. So the
wait, is that not how you spell rent?
I think it's how you spell it in America.
We are writers. I think we know how to write it.
Right. Well, we're just about we just about have to wrap it up, but I want to ask, the kind of question that always comes to mind when you're watching a comedy like this, especially a comedy where there's so much happening, there's so many changes that these characters go through over the course of the very brief 14 minutes. Were there any fun set moments or fun bits that you filmed and had to leave on the cutting room floor that didn't quite fit or didn't quite make it? I'd love to hear about any of those.
I think there's a whole scene that we shot right at the end. You remember with the spinning around the cameras that wasn't in the script?
Oh yeah,
I still want to use to make a trailer or something for this because it was so much fun. But I mean,
that was like during the job interview bit.
Yeah.
While we're okay.
What I remember is being that every scene had a little bit more comedy. Some of the things we had to trim just for time wise. And I remember you guys always giving some great alt lines or even alt takes of the things that were in there, and it just became difficult to like. Which is the funniest out of what we have here, and like, so I know there's some gold moments that are funny on their own that maybe just collectively didn't suit the finished product.
Okay.
I can't think of anything that didn't make it. I remember being super excited about creating this kind of post-apocalyptic world, like this whole 7 days later, like how is it possible that they are in this state now? So it's always kind of riding that line of absurd, but still like real for them. So I think that was something I was most looking for. And that stuff we shot first because we grew out our beards or whatever I can grow. And we had to have a very specific look. So that was the first thing we started with. And that was walking into a set, they had the haze going. We had our living room dumpster fire. And it was just Dan's tinfoil hut. It was, writing it is one thing, but seeing it and you're just like, this is freaking fantastic.
Yeah. Also, in the true nature of indie film, I slept in that set that night to save a little bit of money on hotels. So
fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Well, on that note, we have to wrap it up. If you're watching at home, stick around. We're going to be back for a Q&A with the film team for the feature that you just saw. But thank you guys for being here, and hope to see you in person soon.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Post-COVID world. Let's go.
Let's have a post-festival meetup for all of us filmmakers. Yes.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. Don't get back.